Alright, aloha family, Spencer-Mack here. Today I want to take this offering, this sharing, back into the realm of the physical practice. It's one thing that I find is vitally necessary to my sanity, is my training. And there are fundamentals of practice, of training, that will help you to be able to train longer, that promote longevity, and really that cover a multitude of benefits, being waking your breath up, connecting your mind and your body, increasing circulation, helping to bring blood to damaged areas and help to regenerate different parts of your body. I want to just start off really simple and share principles. A lot of the way that I train or freestyle to warm my body up is based in Shaolin Kung Fu, because that's where most of the training that I've done comes from. And the warm-up exercises, the basics, the fundamentals, there's so much in there. So today I just want to share one of the most fundamental exercises, joint rotations, and I want to specifically focus on the wrist and the hand, just to isolate a joint, to share principles and ideas that can be applied to the whole body. So understand we're just focusing on the wrist today, but all of the joints independently can go through the same attention, the same practice. So there are two fundamental movements that I want to share. This one is called Dragon Eats the Grapes. It's basically a wrist circle. It's also the fundamental movement of Wing Chun. When you open up in the Wing Chun form, Wing Chun being one of the youngest or most recent forms of Kung Fu, is a compilation of all of what they considered the most powerful movements of Kung Fu brought into a smaller sphere. It's very tight, very close-handed, as opposed to these real big movements that you see in things like Wushu or Long Fist. So Dragon Eats the Grapes and water bowls, just like you're holding a bowl of water, or figure eights. These come in super handy if you're into glow sticks or poi balls, if you've ever swung the poi balls, as they call them here, or fireballs. On the chain you have a ball that you can swing that you light on fire. So going back to Dragon Eats the Grapes, one real simple way to look at this is putting your forearms together, rolling your fist back, through, and around, trying to keep your elbows together. So trying to keep your elbows together, bringing the hands back and around, back and around. So really, there seem to be two fundamental movements of all the joints: circles and then spirals. The spiral and the figure eight's an interesting one because it's the transitionary point. It's what allows you to change direction without losing your momentum. So once we have this fundamental movement, this is called Tan. I forget the specific name. So hand out like you're holding a plate, fingers roll back, you come into a crane fist, the crane beak. Turn the crane beak forward, shoot, snake, flip, Tan. This is more like mantis, pulling that wrist in, into crane, turning it, snake, flip the hand. Crane, turn, snake. Crane, turn, snake. So this is the backwards movement of that particular exercise. It can also go forwards. So with both the spiral and the circle, you can always do the exercises in both directions. And when we really work on keeping our hand open, as we're going through it, it really activates all the muscles and helps to expand the blood flow, the range of motion. So like I said, one way to start, keep your elbows together, both hands together, fold the fist back, through, forward. Trying to keep the wrists together, even though you can't whenever you fold the hands forward. So that is Dragon Eats the Grapes, done forward and backwards. When you really try to accentuate, here's an interesting thing. This is crane fist, right? Also known as Fook in Wing Chun. And then this is tiger. Right? See that arc to the wrist? All the way back, all the way forward. All the way back, all the way forward. Dragon is a blend of the two. You still have this drawn back claw with the wrist of the crane. So it gives this dynamic stretch to the whole hand and to the wrist. So when you can think to really use the fingers and the digits whenever you're doing these movements, it really becomes a strengthening and invigorating exercise to the joints, to the fascia. And when you strengthen the joint through these full range of movements, the type of strength you get is much more valuable than the strength that you gain when you do isolated movements repetitively. So learning to do these circular, full range of motion movements with all of your joints integrates different parts of your body, different parts of your mind, and gives you a type of strength that's fluid and whole. Your body's collected and moving together. So this was the basic one. Dragon Eats the Grapes. Basic wrist circles. Second one I'd like to share, you can call it water bowls. It's like you're holding a bowl of water. If I'm holding this cup holder, for instance, you could have a bowl here, fill it with water, and you want to be able to keep the water in the bowl while going through a full range of motion with your wrist, both directions. Now when you really get into this, like I said, this is just an example using the wrist to focus on the principles of how we interconnect our joints and the parts of our body. So you can take these and apply it to the rest of the body. So this is water bowl. Now this may look more familiar. This is the figure eight. Right, I think people, if you've ever been to a rave, have you ever played with glow sticks? This is the move. This is the infinity sign. Try and break this down simply. It really can be difficult if you haven't done anything like this before, but the way that this integrates both hemispheres of your mind, integrates your mind into your body, is really valuable. That's one thing I just love about Kung Fu, is the way that it integrates the body into a whole. So, start off with your elbows together, both wrists out and flat. Then the wrists come in together. Then the wrists point out. And the wrist point up. And the wrist point out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The hardest part is that rolling over in the back of the shoulder. But that move right there can really open up your elbow, open up your shoulder. And when it's isolated to the wrists, this is extremely useful. Just say you're doing jiu-jitsu or push hands, or even if you play football. These minor manipulations of the wrist open doors. And so becoming really sensitive and fluid and open with the full range of motion of your joint is really valuable. So those are the two main practices that I wanted to share. The wrist circles, Dragon Eats the Grapes, both directions. And then figure eight, the water bowls. So it makes it easier if you just put a bowl of water in your hand and you understand what you're doing without spilling the water, And then whenever you isolate it to the wrist, you're going to spill the water, but you still understand the full range of motion. So once you have these two movements, the wrist circles and the water bowls, you can use the figure eight or the water bowls to transition between circles, right? So I can go forward and then move into a figure eight, and then I can be going backwards. I can switch wrists, I can switch directions thanks to the figure eight. The figure eight is the center point, it's the focus of the dragon style Kung Fu. Like I said, dragon is in between tiger and crane. Earth and air are the two elements. So dragon is the spirit, the ether. And it uses the figure eight a lot. Figure eights and crosses. This is just like you would do a staff figure eight. Figure eights, circles. It's the dragon. These movements and exercises, especially when to the breath, when you get your breath in and you're just breathing with the rhythm of your movement and you're feeling the direction that you need to move in, what joints may need to open, it invigorates the body, it circulates the energy and integrates all of the different aspects of your being and your body. It brings you this feeling of totality, of unity, of coherence. There aren't all these separate parts of yourself that you're getting to work together. These types of movements with conscious awareness and breath integrate ourselves. That's part of the practice. So it's important to do them consciously. 1,000 reps done at random when you're not really paying attention does not get you the same result as 1,000 reps done where each one you're fully present. That's why some of these complicated exercises, like I said, this really hurts some people's heads sometimes, doing a figure eight. These kind of complicated movements with our body helps us to integrate into our body, and they're very useful in that sense. So that's how I use them, especially if I'm doing a lot of powerlifting. I've been lifting heavier weight because there's a CrossFit-like gym up the street now, and when you get that kind of tension, it helps to be able to loosen it up with fluid, dynamic stretches like this. So those are a couple principles I wanted to share. Play around with those. Got a minute for some questions if you guys have any topic, totally into it. What's up, Jason Reeves? Nice to meet you, brother. Yo, dude, what up, B? Galaxy Island, Galloway, sorry. Dope, bro. Super interesting concept to consider as a pianist. Yeah, opening up and really activating the digits. If you can really, especially in this move, where you're going from tan, which is like you're serving a plate, into fuk, which is the crane beak. In between is this kind of mantis-like movement, and you're moving each individual digit. Shoot, flip, 1, 2, 3, 4. And same thing when you're doing the figure eights. If you really think about leading with the tips of the fingers and trying to expand and stretch that hand, really integrates, wakes up and strengthens the hand. Wrist positioning. That's cool you play piano, man. Music is the best thing that there is. Very cool. Happy to hear you connecting dots like that. It's awesome. Some workout videos, energy, strength. Thank you. I appreciate the question and request, my friend. Belly dance moves? Yes. Seriously. Those are extremely useful. It's amazing what can unfold. I have an older video on some fluid movements, but one of my favorite movements, a lot of it, especially considering this is our center, when we learn to do circles with our hips. Same thing, same principles. This circle right here, is the same as this circle right here. Now, the figure 8 with the hips is interesting. It's kind of an interesting one to grasp. It's kind of like you're doing a backstroke. If you think of using your shoulders like this, see how I link my breath with the movement? So it's a little bit hard to comprehend that on the hips, but your hips going forward, twist, forward, twist, forward. It helps when you bring the shoulders in to get loose, like that. Real watery, real fluid. And when you send these waves through your body fluidly, you'll run into tension or tight spots. You'll see parts that you're not able to continue the wave through. And when we can work with these specifically, we can start to wash away the tension, so to speak, and gain a more fluid, amorphous body. Did I use that word properly? A more fluid and dynamic way of moving. So yeah, for sure, belly dance moves are fantastic. All right, Marvin, way to make it in time, brother. So that's the idea for today, guys. I find personally I have to wake myself up and invigorate my body to really turn on my mind so that I can act and perform optimally and head in the right direction in my life. So whatever kind of exercise or training that is for you, some people it's just jogging. Some people have to go hit a hardcore CrossFit in the morning. I vary between many things like that, but I feel what I need to do, and the movement always connects with my breath and is enough effort for it to wake my body up, so to speak, increase circulation, gets me warm, break a sweat ideally, and then I'm awake, then I'm clear, then I'm here, and I can act and perform and put that energy that I've cultivated into good use. There's definitely two different types of training. Paul Chek puts it, there's exercise and there's innercise. And innercise is more like Qigong. If you were to slow this down and connect more of these movements with your breath, it's about circulating things. By relieving tension, anywhere you're holding tension is a chronic leak of energy. You're holding that tension and it's taking you effort. You're losing energy. So Qigong helps us to just move fluidly with our breath, find these places that are tense and relieve them. And by relieving these tensions and circulating this energy, we actually gain more energy. So that's innercise. So even if you don't have the energy to exercise, the innercise, the cultivation, is something that should always be done. Always be a part of the practice. All right, what's up, Kim from Germany? Awesome. Ido Portal, love Ido Portal. Been following his work since it was back when I lived in Florida, and I moved from there 10 years ago. I really dig his philosophy, and we train very similarly. And a lot of the movements he does, like for instance his what is that crawl that he does, that jaguar type push-up, I had never seen anywhere else except in Kung Fu. It was called the dragon push-up. And so to see him doing those kind of movements, I'm like, yeah. We both train really similarly. The guy dominates me in some of these aerials and flips. I only have minor acrobatics down, and his strength on the gym rings is profound. So that's something I'm working on as well. Ruben saying what's up to the whole crew. Cool, guys. Well, that was the intention of this video, is for me to just share some principles of circulation. When we wake up in the morning, we go through all of our joints, circles, linking our breath with the movement, feeling out for those places that are tense and stagnant, and bringing awareness to that. Whenever I started Kung Fu, I had scoliosis. Well, I was 2 degrees off from having scoliosis. My spine was curved 14 degrees and twisted. And through years of training, through yoga, through movements like the Tao, the Tibetan rites, the next x-ray that I got some 5 years later showed that I was much more in alignment. So, like, greatly. My spine was only 1 degree off to this guy's measurement. So, when we can feel our bodies through these gentle movements, taking our joints through their full range of motion, and we find these places that we can't move, we need to pay attention to those, and we need to use the movement to open those spaces up. It's all about creating more space and integrating the different parts of ourselves. So that's the way that I view physical training. I recommend starting the day off like that. Creating the habit to habitually come back to joint circulation and integrating ourselves that way. Cool, guys. That's about where I'm at. That's about where I'm at. Body's feeling a lot better. Like I said, I've been in that CrossFit gym. I put on like 15 pounds in the last month. Definitely hasn't all been lean mass, but that's another one I've done a couple videos on, is dynamic tension, learning to breathe and exhale and tense after the joints are warmed up through the softer qigong. There's something known as hard qigong. I like to place it at the end of my training, because at the end you've cultivated all this energy, and the idea is that with the directed tension you can drive that energy into your bones, almost like a battery. They're like crystals. So that's an idea to share, an idea for a future video. Well, if there are any questions, throw them up now, guys, but that is the end of where I'm at. Ideas for other shares. Yeah, Joy, Tibetan rites are the jam. If you have not subscribed, if you have not clicked the notification bell, do it so you can catch these lives. I really appreciate the interaction. I'm just jumping on. I'm working to do it on the daily with a main idea in the sphere of health, wellness, and personal evolution. And I start with a main idea, and then it just basically goes into question and answer, just so I can connect and teach. I had an individual comment yesterday saying, what gives you the right to teach and share nutrition? And I want to express this because that mindset inhibited me from sharing for many years. We are all elders in comparison to other people in one or more areas of life. A third grader is an elder to a kindergartner. That third grader can teach the kindergartner, but the third grader doesn't have much to offer the college graduate, though perhaps a reminder of being childish. So no matter what stage of the game you're at, you always have something to offer, and you shouldn't feel inhibited to share because you're not the leading expert in the field. I am always careful that when I share, I preclude it with, this is just my opinion, this is where we're at, because that's all we're operating on in this whole world. We are listening to other people's opinions, the clarity of different demonstrated studies, and piecing it together. But we always have to keep in mind that these are just opinions. The truth can only be known through your own experience. So I don't offer nutritional advice or training advice as a dogmatic way. I share things that work for me and things that I highly recommend other people try out. Cool. Julian, what's up? So I just joined the live but don't know if you have talked about it. But do you know anything about the lamas and the Tibetan practice? Things like super jumps and levitations. Yeah, you know, there's all sorts of stories of these types of skills and powers that are gained through in-depth, long-term devotion to meditation and practice. Levitation, the ability for monks to go into meditation and actually show up in different areas. That's documented. Certain monks able to leave their body to attend meetings in other places. So these are all potentials that I do not say are impossible, because I don't believe anything is impossible. There are many things we just don't comprehend. There are similar parallels in Kung Fu. They're known as the Gungs, the 72 skills of Shaolin. And some of them are pretty far out there. There's like the high jump, there's light body, iron body. You've seen some of these monks that can break staffs on their throats, that can balance on a spear tip on their solar plexus. So there's also gungs where you have just major ups, probably basically levitation, how high you can jump. Light body, the practice of they walk around the edge of this woven basket, and the ability, which is to some degree of levity, to be able to keep your body light enough so that you don't make the basket fall over. So I definitely believe in the potential of these things. However, meditation should not be pursued for the acquiring of such powers. These are just gifts along the way that can become distractions if you just think that that was the end goal. There are side effects, and even greater abilities come even further down the line. Cool, but great questions. I love the Tibetan culture. Like I was saying previously, the Tibetan rites are fantastic exercises. Well, cool, guys. I think that's going to be it for today. Lots of love to you guys. Really appreciating it. I'll be back on tomorrow. Any ideas, thoughts that you would like me to share, please comment, and let's keep the conversation going. Lots of love and appreciation. Aloha.